Good day. It's that time of year again when we often hear sanctimonious, hollow platitudes about Jamaica and its nationhood. Of course, there is big news on which we must focus too. The unfortunate quarrel and political division over the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the free speech concerns raised in the interdiction of Chairman of the Police Federation, for example. And of course, the superlative performance of the Reggae Girls and the continued flowering of the Sunshine Girls. There are always matters like those to engage us. This is the 82nd episode of the Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast. As ever, please like and share the podcast. And if you haven't yet done so, please subscribe. Winnie Anderson Brown raises questions about a third party, and Desmond Richards is as forthright as ever. Before then, though, it's frankly speaking my commentary. It's Emancipendence, with all its opportunities for entertainment, reflection, and for messages about nationhood. Frankly speaking, we shouldn't be parsimonious with our time and resources in considering who is a Jamaican. Do we like what we have become? Well, what are the characteristics common to Jamaicans? What are his or her values and attributes? That's the Jamaican. Look, for instance, in our social behavior, in the state of the space we share, in our interactions one with the other. Frankly speaking, forget for a moment the financial and economic indicators. What we are talking about are the things not counted by statin or epoch, or that get heard on the political stage. They don't. And yet, frankly speaking, they are fundamental to Jamaica and to who we are. What have we become? Let's just stay with me for a minute. Start with the dirty state of the country. Garbage is thrown almost everywhere, and we still haven't come about with a regime and resources that will take us back to the clean people we were, to making our circumstances and surroundings clean. We are a noisy people, noisier than we have ever been. Sound systems and noisemakers blare at all times of day and night. No day or time of day or place is sacrosanct. The use of the horn in motor vehicles is now damning. It is used without reason and in great excess. Again, frankly speaking, regardless of whether the vehicle is in a church, hospital zone, on the highway, or in a quiet rural community, people use the horn as a sign of their powerlessness, really. The way we use the streets is getting worse every day. And those who believed that a new set of road traffic laws and fines would have made a difference must by now have been hit hard by the reality. There was no shock and awe, frankly speaking, with the new Road Traffic Act, and awfulness and lawlessness are being further normalized. Just go on the streets. That's not all due to the public transport system either. It's not just the taxis and the bus drivers. Despite all the talk, the way we move mass numbers of people is a reflection of and harkens to the Middle Passage. And we are as far as ever from a proper transport system. We are as far away as we were when the JOS and the JRC packed up 30 plus years ago. Listeners and viewers of my public utterances know that over the years I have constantly mentioned some of these issues and deplored the state of our public places as marked by our town centers. And I continue to make these comments because we must not accept that what we have become is who we are, or that should be who we are. Much of downtown Kingston remains unsightly, smelly, and marred in disorder and chaka. In spite of the KSAMC, the rural town centers are no better. They are dirty, they are overcrowded, they are in a bad way, in spite of the ceremony and cost of the underperforming municipal corporations and the Ministry of Local Government. Looking on without the lenses of partisan and emotional nothingness, nothing about the conduct of public life in Jamaica suggests a people with dignity and pride and self-respect. Frankly speaking, it's hard to say it, but we know it's true. We know that that is the foundation of the awful and uncaring and slovenly service received by so many of us every day. Corruption, not just at the top, but among us all, at all levels of society. Corruption is normalized. After all, our countrymen and women say, we are just Jamaicans. What do you expect? As to the things set. Frankly speaking, at Emancipendence, we must understand when our young people ask, what is it that you have achieved? What is it to celebrate? And we must understand too, when they walk away from it. Do you hear and see the political leadership of either or both political parties engaging the ideas raised here? And now to Desmond Richards.
It should be clear to all of us that unless the political parties change their attitude, then the constitutional changes, amendments and changes to the constitution which we are talking about will never happen. Why? Because one of the prerequisites for these changes to be a reality is that there must be consensus between the political parties. Now, what happened in the last couple of days is a clear sign that there is need for a consensus. The constitutional amendment which the government used to extend the age of retirement for the DPP is completely out of order. Why was that? If we are talking about constitution, then it is not a requirement under the constitution, but it is certainly a requirement under the existing condition for that to be referred to the Constitutional Reform Committee. Why that was not done? Section 96, subsection 1 of the Constitution makes consultation with the opposition leader when changes are to be made to the age limit for the Director of Public Prosecution is a must. So why was that not done? No. The other question is, why did the government rush these changes the last day of the current parliamentary session? Why? No. Is there a reason why this was hidden? No. One of the things that I am looking at, is that that 20 civil servants and 6 parliamentarians are under investigation by the Integrity Commission for illicit enrichment. And we also know that, yes, the Integrity Constitution can prosecute, but the DPP is the constitutional authority which is empowered to stop any criminal proceedings. Now, I wonder why the government has chosen to extend Paula Llewellyn's term of office. It is questionable, and we want some answers.
That's Desmond Richards, journalist and founder of Rebel Radio, Jamaica. And now, Winnie Anderson Brown.
This is as good a time as any to reflect on our political system, our two-party system. Do we want a third party in Jamaica? It is said that Jamaicans do not want a third party. The third party that had the most promise was the National Democratic Movement. That movement had JLP, PNP, and NOP. We will recall that the first chairman of that party was Bishop Harold Blair. And his national presence as a minister, many people were hopeful that Jamaica would see real change. We all know what happened. That party, the name is still there, and there are still people who from time to time speak about the National Democratic Movement. That is the party that has the most longevity as a third party. Can a third party survive in Jamaica? If the National Democratic Movement waned the way it did, can another party survive? Will the two parties that we have allow another party to thrive? Will Jamaicans allow that? The uncommitted, that group is the largest group. So, what if there is a party that group and some of the others who are not happy with the way things are going with either party? What if everyone should come together? Is it possible? Is it doable? Do we really want a third party? That's something to think about. Are these two parties satisfying the needs of the country, or have the politicians become just greedy and self-serving? We have a lot to think about.
That's Winnie Anderson Brown, educator and health facilitator. That's the Frankly Speaking Jamaica podcast, the 82nd episode. Please subscribe. We welcome your comments on the channel. On behalf of Winnie Anderson Brown and Desmond Richards, I'm Frankly McKnight. Until then,